Today is May 28th, 2013. We are in Effingham at the DAV Club, and we're interviewing Bill Copple. Bill was born November 8th, 1944 in Centralia, Illinois. My name is Cheryl Walker, and I'm with the Illinois State Library, and I will be interviewing Mr. Copple. Mr. Copple, could you state for the record what branch of service you were in,
I was in the Army.
and what was your highest rank?
I was a Spec 5.
Okay.
Okay.
And what were your service dates?
What was my what?
Service dates.
Service dates?
Dates.
Dates, okay, from February 1966 to February 1968.
Were you drafted?
Yes, I was drafted.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you remember when you got your draft letter?
It was in the fall. Let's see what I know. I got a letter, and I was requested to go to wanted me to be a squad leader or something, and I had some school or anyway. I got a deferment for that, so I didn't go. I was supposed to go like in November or something, and for some reason or other, I didn't go till February. I didn't go to this platoon leader or whatever it was they wanted me to do in basic training, but I didn't go to that for some reason or other. I forgot why. But then I went to Fort Leonard Wood in February. Nice and cold there. And in those days, there was a lot of, what's that disease that goes around in the wintertime? Spinal meningitis or something. Anyway, they had all the windows, every window in the place was open about 3 inches all winter. So, one window, the bottom part would be open 3 inches, and the next window, the top part would be open. So there's plenty of circulation through those old temporary buildings over there. And had to keep the furnace stoked up pretty good. Whoever the firemen were, they were pretty good. So that was in basic training. So then I got out of basic training, I think, in April. And from there, I went to Fort Hollenberg, Maryland. That's in Baltimore. And that's right in town, really. And that's where they have intelligence training. And they was, believe it or not, I about flunked out of high school, but then I went to intelligence school. That's the Army for you, huh? But anyway, they trained me to be a imagery interpreter, look at aerial photography, and so they trained me to do that, and then sent me to Fort Bragg for a holding period till they had time to send me to Vietnam. And I only had this was in December. And so I was coming up on my 1-year date. So I decided, well, I'm probably not going to have to go to Vietnam. I didn't think I was going to have to go. So my girlfriend and I was wanting to get married. So we decided, well, I'm not going to have to go, so we're going to go ahead and get married. So I came home on leave at Christmas time. And we got married, and 3 days after I got married, my buddy sent me a letter from Fort Bragg and said, hey, our orders come in. So when I went back, they had orders for me to go to Vietnam. And so everybody got to go a 30-day leave. So I was home in December. And then in early January, I come back home again for a 30-day leave. And they said, call us back like in February or, after your 30 days, and we'll tell you where to report to. So I called this number. They said, no, we don't have anything yet. Call us back next week. So anyway, that went on till about March. I was home for like 60 days. And finally they said, okay, show up to Oakland, California. And so when I got out there, he says, where in the hell have you been? So I explained to him. They just shook their head and said, okay.
So were you classified as AOL?
No.
AWOL?
No, they weren't. No, they just says, I said, well, there's this phone number. I was calling them every week, just like I was supposed to. They said, well, that's okay. We got plenty of guys in your MOS anyway. So anyway, I went to Vietnam, and they sent me to the 25th Division. And in the intelligence detachment, there was about 40 guys, and they had a group that looked at aerial photography, and I went to school with all those through training, so I knew all those guys already. So I didn't want to go anywhere else, but they didn't need me. All those slots were full. So I said, well, they're going to ship you back to Saigon. And I said, well, I'd like to stay here because I know these guys. They said, well, can you type? I said, yeah. They said, well, our clerk's leaving in about 2 weeks. It says, you can type, you can stay and do his job. So that's what I did. I was company clerk for 9 months. But then in the intelligence detachment, they have guys that look at aerial photography, and they have counterintelligence, and then they have I forget what this other group was called, but anyway, they interrogated. They brought the prisoners in, the guys they captured, and interrogated them and stuff like that. We had a guy in our unit that interrogated prisoners that was a Jewish guy. He had a tattoo on his arm when he was like 5 or 6 years old. They tattooed him with a number. Germans did. He knew how to interrogate. He was really good. He'd been there. But that's really about my story. Except when I came home, I got orders to come home, and so I went back to Benoit to the airport, to the mustering out place, and then that's when the Tet Offensive broke out. So usually you go to Benoit, and one day you spend a day mustering out, doing your paperwork, and then the next day you come home. But it took about 10 days because the Vietnamese attacked, and then they took all of our rifles and everything, and there was a whole bunch of us there getting under the bed. we didn't have a rifle or anything, but they blew up ammo dumps and mortared and stuff like that. So, but that was the extent of we got mortared quite a bit, a lot at night at the base camp, but I never fired a shot at anybody. They issued me an M16 and 100 rounds of ammunition when I got there, and I turned it all in when I left. So,
did you do any imagery interpretation?
No, not in Vietnam.
Not at all.
No, none, not a bit. No.
So as a clerk, company clerk, what did you do there?
Oh, all the mail come in, and that was one of the most enjoyable parts. I'd go to the post office and get mail for everybody too, to hand that out. But any morning reports, okay? Since we were the intelligence detachment, we got all the reports from all the infantry groups, the platoons and companies, of how many killed and wounded and stuff, and I had to report on that every morning. I'd send that over to G2, which is the head intelligence guy, general on the base. And that when we were real close to them, it was like, oh, 300 feet, because I just walk it over there and give it to them every morning. But I had to type that out on a form. They call it the morning report form. Had a number, but I forget what it is now. But and we couldn't erase. That was the hard part. It was a carbonized form. Oh, it was 8 by 10. But it had about 5 pages to it and carbon paper in it, and an old typewriter, manual typewriter, and you couldn't make a mistake on it. If you made a mistake, you had to start all over. And sometimes there was quite a bit of typing on them, and after you typed about 4 or 5 paragraphs, and then you misspelled a word, or you you had to start over.
And they weren't electric, and they weren't.
No, no electric, no. We had generators. We didn't have they shut the power off at night. So.
Now, did you have to type up the intelligence reports?
No, that the CIA guys did that. We had a counterintelligence group, and they did all that kind of stuff. I didn't get involved in any of that.
So the interrogation forms, you never?
No, I never saw any of that stuff. No, I didn't. No, if they'd have captured me, I wouldn't have been able to give them much information. There was a lot of stuff that went on in our office. Up front was my office, and then the major, the company commander, he was just right in the next room, and there's lots of things went on in there that I couldn't. They'd shut the door.
Were you the only company clerk there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Except when Fletcher he and I were there together, and then about 2 weeks, he left, so then I was by myself. Me and the first sergeant was in the same office. Yeah.
Did you type up like supply
No.
reports or anything?
No, nothing really like that. We had our own supply sergeant, and I typed up a lot of request forms and stuff like that, and guys that come in for requests for go on R&R, and I'd type that stuff up for them, and then whenever they'd come in, then I'd have to tell them, hey, your orders has come in, you can go on R&R next week or whatever it is.
Did you go on R&R?
I went to we had down at Vung Tau was down on the South China Sea. They had a resort down there that was just reserved for the military. So you could get a 3-day pass and go down there if you didn't want to. I didn't go on a week trip or anything else. A lot of the guys did. They went to Hawaii or somewhere and met their wives and family, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to get that homesick. So I didn't do that.
At this resort that you could take 3-day, what was all there?
It was a nice hotel. Had a bar and a lounge, and they had a band every night. And then, of course, the beach was right there. You could walk out to the beach and lay on the beach and do whatever. And then also close to town, you could go downtown, and there was a few bars and stuff downtown. And
was it?
But it was
in Vietnam? Or?
Yeah, no, it was in Vietnam. Yeah.
And it was Vietnamese.
Yeah. Vietnamese run it, and South Vietnamese run it. Yeah, and the bands, the rock and roll bands, they were Vietnamese too. Well, they couldn't speak English, but they could sing rock and roll songs.
Did you buy anything when you were there, and you took R&R?
Nah. I think I bought the wife a dress. I give a Vietnamese guy a picture of her, and he painted a great big picture Were pretty good. But you know, that's all I bought.
And then you sent those
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, yeah. Still got them. Yeah.
Mail call. Was that pretty special for everyone
Oh
over
yeah.
there?
Oh yeah. You bet. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take to get letters?
Mm, probably 5 days, less than a week. Yeah, it did. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
The unit that you were in, attached to, could you tell them where you were, your family?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't top secret or anything
No.
like that.
No. Not like it is now. Like the boys in Afghanistan and stuff say they can't tell. No. No, we could tell them where we were. And a lot of us had tape recorders, and we'd send. I had a little tape recorder. It had a little 3-inch disc, and so I'd tape letters and send them home and back and forth. The wife had one, so she'd do the same.
Hmm.
That way you get family on it, and that was pretty nice. Pretty primitive, pretty advanced back then, but pretty primitive now.
What about care packages? Did you ever
Oh
get?
yeah. Those were nice.
What were some of the things that came in those?
Other than carrot cake and stuff like that, the best one I ever got was uh, Christmas tree.
That was pretty special. Did you guys share things in your care packages?
Oh yeah.
Couldn't keep those homemade cookies and things
Mm-mm.
like that away from
No,
each
no,
other.
no. Everybody. No, you pretty much opened her up and it was gone. Yeah, it was a. That's the way it was with everybody.
Was it stale when you got it?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. The carrot cake was always moist. Yeah, that was always good. Got those several times. But cookies a lot of times was stale, but you ate them anyway. But we had good food over there anyway.
Did you?
Yeah, it was good food.
So you had a mess hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, had a tent. Yeah.
And did you have um, warm water
Nah, no, no,
for showers? It
no,
wasn't warm.
no. Showers were those bullet-shaped fuel tanks off airplanes, and that just up on stands, and then they build walls around them and put a pipe on them with a faucet. Just gravity run out. However fast the water run out, is how fast you took a shower. And then sometimes it was pretty chilly because it does get cold in the wintertime, monsoon season they call it. Rains every day, and it gets in the 50s, which is chilly when you're no clothes on. Yeah, no, and it's cold water.
What was your living condition? Where did you live in?
I lived in the end of the supply room. The supply sergeant and I shared a room, and it was we had a TV. We could watch TV out of Saigon. Had one channel, but you get the news and not much else. I don't remember what else was on, but we didn't watch it a whole lot, but get the news once in a while, see what was going on. Listen to Walter Cronkite bash the war.
You were over there from 66 to 68.
Well, I wasn't in Vietnam. I was just in the Army then.
Okay. Were you by any chance over in Vietnam. And could you get on the radio, um, you you have people have seen the movie Good Morning Vietnam.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Could,
Yeah, we listened to that.
did you?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I listened to that guy because he'd come on and say, good morning, Vietnam. So maybe it was him. And then maybe the guys later did the same thing. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was, I relate to that movie. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so the weather that you had monsoons in the winter, and it was 50 degrees. What was the summer like?
Ooh, hot. Hot and muggy all the time. Very hot. Yeah, I don't know how hot it got, but you were just wringing wet just from walking.
Could you relate it to anything in the United States?
Mm, around here last summer. Yeah. No, it was very, very hot. Yeah. And I don't know, it probably goes over 100 degrees. Yeah. But it was, you were just wringing wet all the time. Sweating. Couldn't. And then what I did was, handling paper. That was a pain in the butt because you just mess everything up, stick to you.
Um, what did you have any entertainers come to you?
Oh yeah, I got to see Bob Hope, Raquel Welch, but I was so far back I had to use binoculars, but still got to see him. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, they come at Christmas time, but that's the only. That's the only. That's the only time I can remember that we had any entertainment of any kind. Yeah.
Did they fly into your area,
Mm-hmm.
or did they?
Yeah. We had an airport there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, the 25th Division was 25,000 people, so that was a pretty big area. Yeah, it was a whole town there. I mean, as people, we had a PX and a post office, and one time they had about 4 or 5 NCO clubs where you could go get a beer or something like that, and then we had a bunch of rowdy guys come, and about over a 2-week period they get in fights, and so General closed them all down. We didn't have any of that anymore. You could still get a beer. You'd just have to go to PX and buy it and bring it back to wherever you was going.
What kind of recreational type things did you do on your off time?
I don't remember anything. We didn't really have that much off time. Just the evenings, You had pretty much worked every day. I mean, you get a day off once in a while, but you wouldn't do any. You wouldn't do much. So some of the guys went into Cu Chi. You could walk in there. It was about 2 miles. And when I first got there, you had to carry a rifle to go to town. But then by the time I left, they deemed it to be safe. So nobody carried rifles or anything when they walked to town. But I hardly ever. I went in there a couple times, though, I remember. If you wanted a Coke bad enough, they'd go to town and get a Coke. They sold Coca-Cola in bottles. Yeah.
Did it taste the same?
Nah, not to me it didn't, but they swore up and down it was the same. I don't.
What was it difficult to adapt to military life? You know,
Mm, not really. Not I. It was one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Um, I had never been anywhere. Raised in little old town of Walnut Hill, which is down by Centray, down southern Illinois here, and I'd never been really anywhere, and didn't know there was that many different people in the world when I went in the army. You know, you learn that you're not the only person in the world. Well, there's lots of other people. No, it was a good experience. I didn't want to go, but I wouldn't give it up for nothing.
did you form a lot of friendships, camaraderies in the
Yeah,
service?
I did. Really? Yeah, I had a lot of friends, but I'm guilty of not keeping in contact with them. Yeah. No, you get friends, that's for sure.
Um, what about after you got out of the service? Do you think the training that the special training, the AIT training or the special training, the clerk, do you think that helped you in years later?
Uh, yeah, yes, it did, but it helped me. It helped me in realize that I could do something. You know, like I said earlier, I was terrible in school. I hated school, and I couldn't read. You know, couldn't read very fast. And when you're doing military assignments, you know, if you're in AIT or whatever you're doing, there's no, you know, the company commander says he wants this by such and such time. Well, you got to get it done, and that made me realize that I can get it done. So when I come home after I got out of the army, went back to I worked for a telephone company, and they give me my job back, and I said, there's got to be a better life than this. So I went back to college and was always honor roll every semester. So got my degree and couldn't read and couldn't speak, but so I became a teacher.
What did you teach?
I taught high school agriculture. Yeah, and then I moved on to teach mechanics in a junior college, and from there I went to work for a farm equipment international harvester. So no, I've had a pretty good life.
So did you go to school on the GI Bill?
You bet. That's the only reason I got in. My grades were terrible, but because I had GI Bill, they let me in for one semester on probation, and I was on the honor roll. So they let me stay, and so I was on the honor roll every semester. And I only had what five semesters and one summer to finish up my degree. So no, I did it.
Congratulations.
I never have been out of work. I graduated in college in December or January, actually, like the end of January and the 1st of February. I had a job. I've never been out of work. Never have drew unemployment one day in my life. So,
Did you you have any problems with um, coming out of the military? Were you?
I mean, like the protesters and stuff like that, did
Yeah.
they bother me or
Yeah.
anything? Well, no, didn't really bother me, but I didn't start anything, and they were around. I didn't tell them I was in the army. I never wore anything that show that I was, or I didn't want to agitate them. But they had their own opinion. I had mine. So no, but when I was in college, I'd seen enough of them. They were all out there.
You belong to the DAV organization. Is there any other organizations, veterans organizations that you belong
Yeah, I'm I'm a life member here. Matter of fact, I just joined not long ago, but I'm a life member of the VFW, and I'm also a member of the. I'm not a life member, but I'm a member of the American Legion. Mm-hmm.
If you were talking to a young veteran, um, what would you like to say to them about joining a veteran organization today?
That is a $64,000 question. We constantly try to get young guys and women to join, and we have a few ladies that join the American Legion. Seems like kids today, or the young people today, they're not very much joiners. So, no, I don't know. I really don't know what to say to them. Our organization, for instance, American Legion, I'm more involved in the American Legion than I am the other organizations, but they really do a lot for veterans behind the scenes that the veterans don't know about. And in Washington, and our national headquarters is in Indianapolis, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes trying to get stuff for veterans, especially the veterans' health care right now, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, you don't have to be a member of an organization to get veterans health care, but if they knew all the work that was in the other organizations did so that they can get that, they probably would feel like that they should join. But they're young and invincible, and they're not going to get sick. So I don't know. It's hard to say, and I should know too. You know what to say to somebody whenever they say, "Well, why should I join the Legion or why should I join the VFW?" Well, they're just strength in numbers. That's all. We get everything. Seems like more and more that everything that you get comes from the government, and if you don't have, they look at numbers. Yep.
Do you go to any conventions, any reunions?
In the military organizations,
Mm-hmm.
I go just local, like we in the state of Illinois, we have districts and then divisions, and I go to those. I've been to the state convention once, but I didn't get a whole lot out of it. It was when you get that high up in it, it's a lot of politics, and I'm not into that.
I noticed on your form you didn't put any medals down.
Well, I don't know. I got 3 or 4 medals. Like I got some operation ribbon, and good conduct, of course, and the Vietnam ribbon and marksmanship and those kind of things. But I don't know what all I got.
Okay.
I don't have. There's no Bronze Stars or Silver Crosses or anything like that. No Purple Hearts.
Bill, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for the time that you gave to our country. Thank you for the time that you served in Vietnam. And I would also like to thank you for giving me the opportunity today to interview you.
Yeah. Thank you. Glad to. Hope it helps out.